All right, we are moving on to complex numbers. I'm going to put the whole week's worth of assignments in this one video because we're just adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing complex numbers. Just to remind you, a complex number is when you have a real part and an imaginary part. And it also includes I, which is an imaginary number. Remember that I equals the square root of -1. Okay, so if b equals 0, then a plus bi is just a. Okay, so that's a real number. If b does not equal 0, then a plus bi is called an imaginary number. Okay, so the combination of a real plus an imaginary is a complex number. So here are the rules for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. For adding and subtracting, you're just combining like terms. For multiplying, you'll be doing FOIL. And then for dividing, you'll be multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate to get I out of the denominator. And I'll show you an example of each. And let me just remind you, the definition of I is the square root of -1. So if I square I have square root of -1 times square root of -1, which is then just -1. So every time you have I squared, you change it to -1. So it makes sense that I cubed would be I squared times I. Well, what's I squared? That's -1 times I, so then you get -I. I to the 4th power would be I squared times I squared. Well, those are both -1, so that would equal 1 because -1 times -1 is +1. All right, so when you're simplifying by doing adding or subtracting, you're just combining the like terms. So 10, you can add the real parts and then the imaginary parts. So when I add these two together, I get 22. When I add these two together, I get -8i. Okay, and it's just as simple as that. That would be the answer. When you're subtracting, you have to remember to distribute the negative. So then that's going to become a +4 and a -8i. And then you add. So this is going to give me 6 and then -9i. When you write a complex number, you write the real part first and then the imaginary part. For multiplication, you're going to FOIL. So when I multiply here, I get 8. And then I do the inside and the outside. So the outside would be -12i. The inside would be -2i. Then the last would be +3i squared. Okay, so remember that I squared equals -1. So then this part is going to become -3. Combined with 8 is 5. And then I get -14i when I combine the I terms. The second one is going to give me 25. And then -10i plus 10i when I do the inside and the outside, -4i squared when I do the last term. So this is going to become a +4. So I get 29 when I put those together, and then these two go away. And so my answer is just 29. You could write +0i, but you don't need to. You can just write the real part. Okay, so this is considered multiplying a number times its conjugate. When you have 5 plus 2i and then 5 minus 2i, those are conjugates of each other. All right, so the last one is, this should be just a square. I don't know why I typed it up like that. So really I'm doing -12 minus 3i times -12 minus 3i. So that's going to give me 144. And then 12 times 3 is 36, so I'm going to get +36i, +36i, and then +9i squared. 9i squared, or I squared is -1, so this becomes a -9. So I have 144 minus 9, which is 135. and then 36 plus 36, which is 72, I. Then we're going to move on to division. And division is just a little trickier because you have to get rid of I in the denominator. And the only way to do that is to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. So if I have negative 9 plus 8I, this is going to be negative 9 minus 8I for the conjugate. So I have to do that on the top and the bottom as to not change the top or the bottom. So I'm multiplying essentially by 1. So then I have to FOIL the top and the bottom. So 17 times 9 is 153. Then I'm going to have negative 8 times negative 17, which is 136. And then positive 9I when I multiply the inside, and then positive 8I squared. So that's my numerator. My denominator is going to give me 81. Because I multiplied by the conjugate, the inside and the outside will always cancel. And I get plus 72I, well, I don't know why I said 72, plus 64. Let me erase that. Oh, gracious, it's not going to be plus, it's going to be minus because it's positive 8I and negative 8I. So now, on the top, this is going to become a negative 8. So 153 minus 8, which is 145. And then 136 plus 9 is 145. And then the bottom is 81. And then that's going to become a positive 64. So that's 145. When you have, ooh, I wrote a 4. When you have a common element in each term, then they can cancel out. So this is going to become 1 plus I for your answer. And you do want to simplify it in Delta Math. Okay, let's do another one. This one's actually easier because the numbers are smaller. So I multiply by the conjugate is negative 4 plus I. So in the numerator, I'm going to get 12 minus 3I minus 16I plus 4I squared. In the denominator, I'm going to get 16. The inside and the outside are going to cancel. Minus I squared. So when I simplify, this becomes a negative 4 here. So I have 8, because 12 minus 4 is 8, minus 19I. And then this is a negative 1, so it really becomes positive over 17. And nothing can be simplified there, so I just leave the answer like that. So you're going to go to Delta Math, and there should be 3 assignments there. One for adding and subtracting, another for multiplying, and then another for dividing. What is this? Poison ivy. Ew. Reach out if you need help.